Avi, I'm super excited that you're actually available during these times to have conversations about what's happening not only at Koi, but with the entire ecosystem. You were mentioning something just launched. What was that?
Yeah, for sure. The new KPL tokens, which is Koi's programming library of tokens. Sounds very technical, but it's not. I promise you. It's basically a solution that in 5 minutes, from start to finish, it'll take 5 minutes for you to make and mint your own tokens. You can make as many as you want. You can put them right on the Koi node. And yeah, we've already actually seen a few people start making them. We have a webinar token just for our webinars. We have the new bird token for Twitter tasks, the fire token, as a lot of people have seen, but there's also a lot of cute community developed ones. We're seeing KPen, which is coming from Pentagon Games. We're seeing KTruth, which is coming from Truthflation. We have other few partners that are going to be releasing their own tokens really soon. You can check out the Koi Ocean page for a little more details there. I'll be making a post probably after this space. So we're really excited to see everybody basically launching their own tokens, their own tokenomics, their own utilities, and Koi's making that happen basically as easy as we can.
I love it, man. I appreciate you giving me that little, like Melina usually likes to say, the TLDR on what's going on over at Koi. So before we kick things off, what is it that you do exactly at Koi?
Yeah, for sure. I'm head of DevRel here at Koi, so ultimately my position's a little nebulous, but basically I'm here to support the community, particularly Koi's community of developers, to make sure that they can do anything they want on Koi, from launching a business to maybe making a small hobby utility. Maybe you want to crush some bugs, or maybe you want to help another developer make their dreams come true. Maybe you're just interested in Web3 and you don't actually know much, but you want to start getting your hands working with something that's Web3 decentralized, easy to use, makes sense for a Web2 person. So I'm here to wear all those hats.
Love it, man. And I love having you here. Today, we want to talk about something that's happening in the world literally right now that could benefit from what Koi is doing and then just decentralization in general. Right now, we got a little something happening over in Brazil. And so much so that today we had some people from Brazil actually speaking in spaces and they're having to use a VPN to actually get connected, which is super sad. I don't know how many of you guys know, but I'm actually Brazilian. I was born and raised there. So like this hits home, like really close to home. Just the fact that I'm having a space like this and talking about this stuff, I'm pretty sure I'm in some lists. I've been able to avoid, what do you say, my real name and identity from being leaked as of right now. So like nobody's facing the repercussions of it yet. But my family itself has had a history of censorship coming directly from Brazil, from government and all that stuff, and other platforms that choose to follow directions from those entities blindly, specifically YouTube, to be honest with you. It's really sad the way that things are going about. And the name of the space is free speech and a demand for decentralization. And the reason I say that this is really close to home is that I don't think we should be living in a world like this. But I wanted to go to you, Avi, and basically ask you your opinions on what the implications are for Brazil's decision to block X for just the global free speech norms, especially considering X stances as a platform for open dialogue, regardless of what your stance is on anything.
Yeah, for sure. So I guess for those who don't necessarily know, I'm sure everybody's heard, but Elon Musk's X, so the platform we're on right now, has actually been banned in Brazil. It was banned by the Supreme Court by a judge, and I'm not going to get too much into the news because it's been all over the news cycle, but Koi definitely wants to step in here for sure. So let's talk about that a bit. Yeah, for sure. X is banned in Brazil, and what does that really mean? I mean, it means a lot of Brazilians. I think the number was 10% of Brazilians claimed that they rely on X to get local news and global news. And those are two very important types of news. We're not talking about getting memes, which of course X is great for, don't get me wrong. But at the same time, I mean, let's talk about the flooding and earthquakes that have been happening all around the world, the typhoons, the hurricanes, bridges collapsing, people getting hurt, forest fires. X has traditionally, at least for the last 10 years, been the de facto place to get that kind of immediate information. And there's a lot of use cases actually that prove that using X for this very purpose is faster than most government emergency response systems. I say most, but let's say maybe 95% of them. I think there's been some success in like some of the more progressive countries like Finland. But aside from that, X is actually an extremely valuable utility. It's something that we've come to rely on, and it's saved countless human lives. And so this idea that an entire country, one of the world's largest countries, one of the world's most impactful countries, Brazil, is completely locked out of X, is pretty egregious in my opinion. It's a social injustice at the very least. So Koii wants to step in. I gave a little speech, a little ramble, but what's Koii actually going to do about it? So we partnered with a Brazilian company to make something called, I think it's called Conexión Libre, which is free connection in Brazilian Portuguese. I'm so sorry if I butchered that.
Conexão Livre. You got
Um,
it.
Conexión Libre, yeah. And that basically what it is Koi's VPN service. So we're a decentralized VPN service. No company can take us down. No country can take us down. We're live basically as long as Koii is live, and Koii is going to be live as long as we can. We're going to fight all the powers in the world to keep our services active. And this is where you guys come in. Our VPNs work because you guys host the nodes all around the world, from Canada to Vietnam, US, India, China, and yeah, of course, Brazil. And we want you guys to run these nodes to help us create a decentralized VPN that can't go down so that people in Brazil and all around the world can just launch up a Koii node, start running one of our apps, and then they have access to the worldwide internet. And they can use any of your sort of nodes to bounce around the internet. It's one of the best use cases for decentralization, in my opinion. It's really the definition of people coming together to use their resources to help other people and to connect other people and to give them that lifeblood of humanity. It's like when you're disconnected from social media, it's a we get a little dramatic sometimes, but really it is an important part of our lives. And it is an important tool that we use to move forward. So yeah, Koii is really excited that we're working on a whole VPN suite that will allow Brazilians and anybody else to access the global internet. And there won't be any one organization that can stop it. The only thing that could stop it would be the community. And that's exactly what we want.
And at that point, I think it's okay if the masses are asking you to stop. That's very different than having one single individual coming down on it and say we're done with this. And I got to be honest, it's sad, but I feel like a lot of times it takes some really really negative thing for security and decentralization to be put in the forefront. Again, it's sad, right? Like I say this all the time: security is not sexy. Decentralization isn't always sexy either until you start talking numbers or until something really bad happens. So like what the Brazilian government did here, the action against X, how does that reflect on the debate around decentralization? Like, is there a need for a more global decentralized approach to just basically the internet governance around the globe?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not just us Web3 fans kind of saying that now. We're even seeing the European Union is getting together and they're talking about how they can implement blockchain into their government so that they can actually have a more credible ledger that is governed by the people. It's actually a really great use case. It's starting in furniture, which is funny, but it's going to be branching everywhere. The idea in the EU is that what they want to do is they want to track everything from the beginning of a value chain to the end of a value chain. And that can apply to software or physical goods. Let's talk about furniture for a sec. Where does the wood come from? Where has that sofa that the wood went into been for 20 years, and what landfill is it going to? But we can talk about software too. I mean, for example, who made an app? And then what company bought that app? What country was that app founded in? And has it moved its headquarters? These kind of things will give the community a lot more visibility and insight into what's going on. Furthermore, a lot more credibility because the community can curate this information. And we're starting to see governments adopt this. And the EU is a progressive government, sure, but I think that they're going to set a standard that will bleed out to the rest of the world. So I definitely think that decentralization is warranted. Do I think that centralization isn't warranted? No. We need both where they make sense. But the utility of decentralization is becoming more and more apparent basically every day. And it's very apparent that we don't have enough of it, that all of our centralized systems are extremely susceptible to decentralized or to the very things that decentralization prevents.
I agree with you completely. Let me tell you, just being on this stage, there's risk. which is super crazy to even think about. Like me just talking about the stuff is dangerous because there are so many centralized entities out there, and it could cause my own speech to be limited. I know not on this application, at least not anymore, but that's still something that people are dealing with day in and day out, which I can totally understand why people are more and more are demanding decentralization, but sometimes they don't really realize what they're demanding. Like they don't know what they're really asking for a lot of times. And we see this in Brazil. Like we're seeing this trend worldwide for quite some time. Why do you think there is a lack of understanding of what it actually means? Because I think that there is way more to it than meets the eye, and this is not a Transformers ad.
That was hilarious. I love that. I think that part of the problem with decentralization is that it's quite a large and traditional sounding word. I mean, decentralization. Like, if you're not an English native speaker, that's already a tough ask. And if you're a native English speaker, I think when you hear centralization, you think of government. The whole point is that we're trying to challenge some of the traditions in the world. So I think that the word is just a little big and scary. And I think that actually being reflected a lot in the new marketing and messaging that Web3 is putting out there. I mean, we're saying the term blockchain a lot less. We're saying the term Web3 a lot more. And you can actually see that in trends and stuff online. We're not using the term crypto as often either. And it's because, for better or for worse, there's a history to these things. And so Koii is actually trying to change the narrative and move it forward. We're not going to lie, we are a decentralized company. We have a blockchain, we're in Web3, and we have a cryptocurrency. But that's not the story we're going to tell anymore. We're telling the story that we're going to make a social computing network. I think that's what we need to start saying. Decentralization is a social movement. It's about bringing people together. We say decentralization, we think computers. We say decentralization, we think government. We say social, we think, oh, those are the apps I use every day. Those are the people that I'm with every day. Those are the things I do every day. And that's kind of the narrative shift that I think is really important. I have always been curious to get someone else's opinion on this. I'm a native English speaker. And so that actually affects the way I think and the way that I approach problems. And I was always curious, I mean, if my perception of the decentralized world and my peers, my English speaking peers. I wonder if that is a cross cultural perception as well.
You're not wrong. Decentralization, and I mean, especially in Portuguese, it's literally basically like just about the same way. It carries the same type of connotation. I think that going back to something that people are a little bit more accustomed to might make even more sense. We've seen a lot of people talking about peer to peer, right? And when we talk about peer to peer networks for file sharing, I mean, good old Pirate Bay, that's what a lot of people have in mind. Like, oh, I know what that is. I'm not dealing with anybody else. I'm dealing with different individuals. That kind of hones in and makes it more real. Like, okay, I'm going to be interacting with other users. But that really makes it scary because people are like, wait, isn't there concern of privacy and data leakage and getting those letters in the mail because you were downloading a movie or a game that you shouldn't have? So it's a two-sided debate here. A lot of people definitely prefer that peer-to-peer aspect of it, but at the same time, the connotation that comes with peer-to-peer is that the government is watching, and that if you do use this, you're going to get in trouble, and it's going to be bad. Avi, you shouldn't have been downloading that. You shouldn't have been using this application. You shouldn't have been using this platform, and it's scary, which is wild because more and more people, especially in Brazil, are going into crypto and are using a lot of USDT down there, like a lot, versus a traditional banking system. The banking system down there is not very fun. I got to tell you, there is long lines for everything. I don't know why people love lines outside of the US. I just can't stand them, but people seem, if there's a line, they just want to jump on it. But it's very different. So it's a two-sided conversation here. It's, yes, we want to be decentralized. Yes, we want to go this peer-to-peer route, but they're still concerned about the privacy and security in the midst of it. So how do you get away from that? Like explain to people that the peer-to-peer does not have to be a concern when you're dealing with your privacy over it.
Yeah, it's definitely a two-pronged effort. I think, firstly, it is a bit about the language that we're saying. I think peer-to-peer is, again, one of those terms we need to maybe update our usage on, but more specifically, like when we talk about peer-to-peer, we say I'm connected to other people. I think that a lot of people have grown distrustful of peer-to-peer because of mistakes that were made in the past. And Koi, part of what we're doing is we're trying to be very transparent with our technology so that you can see exactly what's going on in these peer-to-peer networks. That's why all of our tasks that are ever whitelisted are open sourced. That's why we just open sourced our namespace wrapper, which is what underlies all of Koii tasks. And that's why we're going to keep on open sourcing things, including the desktop node, including the wallets. We're going to open source everything as it makes sense to do so, because we want to build that trust. We want to show you that we're not just shouting around and throwing around these scary words for no reason. We really mean it. We mean the real heart of these messages. Back in probably 2005-ish, when they were first talking about peer-to-peer networks and how the internet was finally catching up to be able to really handle these kind of things, there was all this hype and all this excitement. I think that's what Koii really wants to rebuild. Something that people can be excited about. This is a future. This is a new, better horizon. It's going to make things faster, easier. It's going to make us more connected, and it's going to make your lives more enriched. And that's really the messaging we're trying to present.
I honestly love that because it does give a little bit more that sense of security, right? You don't have to, you should question everything, but at the same time, when you do ask those questions, there's answers to it. Now, if users in Brazil are turning to these VPNs to bypass restriction, does that mean that there's a much bigger demand out there for this kind of internet freedom that could drive, honestly, like technological solutions headed straight to decentralization, honestly?
Yeah, the demand is massive for decentralization. One of my favorite use cases, actually, of Koii is some person, a guy, I won't put his name on blast quite yet, but he's working on a task to validate surveys and other types of review platforms. And he's using Koii to have everybody's computer basically do these sort of internal investigations into everyone and say, hey, how many reviews are bots in this area? How many reviews are humans? And can we do something about that? And part of the benefit of using Koii here is that he gets to use a bunch of different people's computers to validate it. And so his data becomes a lot more trustworthy. And I think there's a huge demand for that very word, trust. There's a massive demand in the market for trust. Every day, trust is destroyed, whether it's this Brazilian Supreme Court and Elon Musk having a tiff, or whether it's something going on in the UN, whether it's your local government, it doesn't matter. Trust is destroyed. And part of the big problem here is because we have these fragile systems, these long-standing and powerful systems, but they have these attack vectors. And now we have decentralization. Now we have a solution to start plugging some of these holes. And yeah, I think the demand to plug those holes is massive. It's huge. I want to become less restricted on the internet. I want to have more freedom. I want to be able to express myself. I want to connect myself with the world because I'm here and I want to be heard. I think that's huge. Yeah.
The problem a lot of times is that not only are you being told that this is bad, don't do it, but a lot of people are not willing to take that risk. A perfect example is what, like I was saying, in Brazil right now. If you do access this platform via a VPN, which I talked to somebody today on Spaces going on X via VPN, there is a 50,000 per day fine for doing so. It's about $9,000, and people, a lot of them just can't take that risk, like I was saying. So how can something like this actually help resolve that risky scenario?
Yeah, and I mean, that's a massive risk. I can't even imagine some of the most wealthy people on the planet would be happy with that kind of fine, let alone like the average person. That's absolutely insane, actually, just hearing that and processing it now live. But one of the cool parts about what Koii is doing is that we're not a true VPN. So how a true VPN works is, or the more traditional VPNs at least, is what they're doing is they're essentially taking your data and they're encrypting it locally on your computer, but then they're still passing it right through to your internet service provider. They're going to their centralized servers and then they're shooting that out. That's really, really traceable because all you have to do is find the VPN company. Then you have to find out where all their servers are around the world. You just have to ping those once, and now you know where they are. And then you just have to look at all the traffic that's associated with it. And because it's going through your internet service provider anyway, it doesn't matter that it's encrypted beforehand. Part of what Koi's doing with a decentralized network is that we have this massive network of nodes. I think 92,000 as of today. And you, when you're using the internet, you're going to be dancing through all of those nodes, back and forth, left and right, around the globe and back, going through crazy zigzags, sometimes using one server and then absolutely stopping and then using another, creating an extremely unpredictable pattern. And these governments and stuff, they can't trace that as easy because decentralization isn't as vulnerable as a centralized system.
So essentially, instead of trying to ping however many servers, like I think the largest VPNs out there like have about 3,000 servers worldwide, and those end up being super expensive. But it's only a handful of servers they have to look at, and all of a sudden they have the data from all these people, as opposed to what you're saying. The way that Koii is setting this up is that you're able to go through people's computers. So I mean, not only are there way more nodes out there, but if you ping that node, it's just somebody's computer sitting at their house. So there's no fingerprint of like this is a VPN, right?
Exactly. And you even said, NordVPN. They have 6,500 servers around the world. And you think, oh, that's a lot. That sounds like I could hide in that maze. Well, part of the problem is that they're all NordVPN servers. They have a well-established history on the internet. They didn't all just spin up today, and they're not going to shut down ever. They're going to have 100% uptime if NordVPN has anything to do about it. They have a lot of customers to serve. Koi is different because it's everybody's computer ad hoc. It's when you turn it off and when you turn it on. As you walk around from it, from one cafe to the next, you have your mobile phone, for example, or your laptop, you take it from work and back. All of that is constantly switching a little bit of what's going on, and it's hiding you just a bit better. NordVPN 6,000 servers will give you a bit of anonymity. I can't say it won't, but it won't give you anywhere near the kind that Koi will be offering.
Now, I kick things off in this conversation in regards to people want to have access to information more than anything else. And we see lots and lots more of VPNs getting installed, but they can still be banned. And it's scary. But if they're targeting VPNs, don't you think that decentralized compute networks like Koi, for example, are going to be the next ones on the chopping block?
Well, I mean, there's always going to be a back and forth. There's always going to be an attempt and a target. I think it's about building resilient systems. You talked about blocking an app, which is totally real and can very much happen. On a decentralized ecosystem, it doesn't really, what can you block? Or you can only block so much. You can try and block them from downloading it, but then the server moves. So you can try blocking them from having something like that on their computer, but then in a decentralized space, the name can change. All you have to do is hash it to someone's wallet, for example. And furthermore, actually, there's also a lot more mobility and flexibility in how we can implement these solutions. So I think that even though we'll be maybe targeted next, because we have flexibility and mobility, it won't be that big a deal. We'll be able to outmaneuver anything that they throw our way.
So does that mean that this is finally the catalyst that we've been looking for? This negative thing that's hurting a ton of people, could it actually be used for good and essentially kickstart the adoption of blockchain and other decentralized technologies for social media?
I definitely hope so.
How does that take place though? Is that something that's feasible in the short term, or do you think it's going to be a long time before we will actually put something together that works?
I mean, for the VPN specifically,
Well, in regards to kickstarting the adoption of blockchain and these other decentralized
uh,
networks for social media platforms specifically.
I think that it's not too far away. I think that it's really, really close. I think that there's a lot of people in the industry right now who are actually working on that exact kind of problem. Moti, for example, is actually a partner here with Koi, and they've been thinking about tackling that thing. How can we create a truly decentralized social network that no matter what a government does, no matter what anyone does, it can't be taken down without the entire community coming together to do so.
Wait, so Moti is actually working on top of Koii, so it is completely decentralized already?
Moti's working towards a solution like that, but they are working on top of Koi, yeah.
Awesome. Those are the things that I love to not only check out, but be a part of, to be honest with you, because it doesn't matter if it's ready, doesn't matter where we want to be. I love being able to be a part of the solution. And I think that a lot of times the way we get there is by supporting people who are actually dedicating their life's work towards it. And I think that makes a big, big
Yeah.
difference, right?
People are working on the solutions right now. There are people who are today working on the solutions, and those people aren't the people that the government wants or the people in power wants. The guys who own the monopolies, the guys who own everything, they don't want the status quo to change. But there are people every day who are working night and day, like you and me, to spread information, to build Koi, to build all these decentralized services that are really going to shape and change the world. That's why we call it Web 3. We're on the old Web 2 right now. It's the old internet. The next internet is going to be Web 3, just like everybody switched from Web 1 to Web 2. You don't even know what Web 1 is. And now we're going to be switching into this new space. I think yeah, there's a lot of people who are working on it, and there's a lot of people you can support who are just like you. They're a lot closer to you. We're just people who have gotten sick and tired of the status quo, to be honest, and we're going to make a change. It's not we're going to try, we're going to. It's going to happen. And we'd love for you guys to be a part of it.
I love it. I'm going to cue up Michael Jackson's song so that we can close out later. But before then, let me ask you, with everything that's going on with the current landscape that we see, like how does Koi position itself against other decentralized AI initiatives? Because I know that's a huge, huge play out there as well when it comes to decentralization. Is there a unique value that Koi really brings to the table?
Yeah, for sure. Something is that we're actually doing it. I mean, today you can launch a model on Koi and you can deploy it and it works. I don't think many other services can say they can do that plus a bunch of other things. There's some chains that can do AI. There are some, and we're actually working to integrate with them so that you can access their services through Koi. And there's some guys who they can do some of the other stuff that Koi can do, but there's no blockchain that can do both. There's no one be all end all DPIN ecosystem. And we at Koi are going to be that. Whether it's an app, whether it's AI, whether it's web hosting, whether it's data storage, we will be the premier DPIN ecosystem.
All right, not in the script, not something I've even prepped you for, but why? Why do you think you're going to be leading the way?
I think we have the best engineers, some of the best on the planet. I think that we are doing something that the other giants in the industry just aren't going to do. We've talked to these guys. We tried to create partnerships. Koi Labs has actually been around a lot longer than me. It's been around for 4 years. The model has gone through a lot of iterations and attempts. I think it's where it is today because we finally found something that is going to change the world and we're ready to launch it. Something an investor told us recently. I can't say the investor, but I was in an investor call, I promise, and the investor said, I've been in Web3, I've been in blockchain, is what he said, for 10 years. And I've been trying to find a project that's going to do what Koi's been doing for the past 10 years. And I've invested in a lot of them. None of them have made it as far as Koi has. And Koi knows we can keep going forward. We have a lot of runway left. We are working every day and we're releasing new features every week. And we're pretty confident. We're pretty excited because I don't think anybody else has actually managed to make it as far as we have.
I mean, that for sure is exciting to see how fast you guys are moving. And I think it's multifold here just because I see a lot of different applications being deployed on Koi. So it's not only what Koi is doing, it's what Koi is also enabling other people to do, which is super awesome. And on that token, talking about making a change here, I want to go over what you were talking about because you mentioned KPL tokens. And I think that's going to be a big thing. I'm going to kill the music so I don't make everybody laugh about what we're going to talk about here. But I do love that song, Man in the Mirror, Michael Jackson. It's a throwback. Let's talk about those KPL tokens that you were just talking about. And I know they're supposed to help this. They're supposed to make this thing work. Can you explain what the use of them really are? Because it does sound complicated and foreign to anybody just coming in now.
Yeah, for sure. And we're going to work on that. But KPL token basically just means it's a Koi programming library token. It just means that we created a really cool tool for you to go out and you can use it right now, kpl.koi.network, and you can make your own token. It takes 5 minutes. That's it. If you want a token, you can go on Koi and you can make one right now. That's the easiest way to explain it. But I will give a bit more detail to follow that up. Is that KPL tokens are basically the way that Koi is going to enable everybody to build Web3 apps and decentralized apps. We have this one click initiative here at Koi where we're trying to make everything just one click, where you can one click, boom, you have a Koi task. One click, boom, you have a token. And then now all of a sudden you have a blockchain. It's a layer two, but still it acts and functions like a blockchain. And you can do whatever you want to do on it. We have all these applications that we said, right? That you can build AI, you can do data scraping. Well, KPL tokens are going to enable you to have your own tokenomics so you can reward your users your way and you can incentivize your network your way. And you don't have to compromise on your existing tokenomics or the way you want to run things or incentivize your network because you're using Koi's services, our lightning fast blockchain. You just come on, make your app, make your own token, and we'll stay out of your way.
Why are you creating like a point and click solution here? Don't you think that you want like the best devs out there to create some of these things, which in my opinion would mean that they know how to create a token? Why would you make something as easy as this to who's going to be onboarded.
I think we've always had that kind of mentality in Web3, but I don't think that's the way we need to be thinking. I think everybody has good ideas. Nobody's ideas aren't worth trying, in my opinion. And I want to enable everybody to do it. The why is because this is for everyone. It's not just for the super smart developers, it's so that everyone can do it. I was watching a podcast by the Shopify founder, and he was saying when he started Shopify, there was only 40,000 e-commerce websites worldwide. Well, why was that? It's because it was too hard to make them. It was just too hard. And now Shopify's out, and there's literally hundreds of millions of e-commerce websites. And that's not even an exaggeration. There's actually maybe 2 or 300 million of them. That's what we want to do with Koii, because we know that it's not just the smartest developers in the world who have great ideas. I mean, sure, they have great skills, don't get me wrong, and they probably do have good ideas, but so do you. And I want to hear them. And I want to enable you to build your ideas without being burdened by needing to pay an engineer a salary of billions of dollars.
You're going to get me in trouble, man. You're hyping me up. I'm going to leave this call and go run a marathon. You're making me feel really good. Like I'm capable of doing something over here. Man,
You are.
you're awesome. I love your approach to this stuff. It really it's refreshing more than anything else. It's really exciting when we can actually go out and say, you know what, we believe that people have value, that people have capabilities that are being underutilized and are not being tapped into. Like that to me is such a big deal. But when you create tokens, at least in my neck of the woods here, like there has to be some kind of value associated with these tokens. Like how does that work?
Yeah, for sure. So Koi is a utility network. So unlike other cryptocurrency networks, we're actually backed by a utility, and that's compute. Just like water is a utility, just like electricity is a utility, access to compute these days, honestly, is a utility. Cloud computation is what we do here at Koi, and that utility is what you're going to build into your business and into your token. Now, obviously, if you're making a meme coin, which you're totally allowed to make, then maybe this is a little less applicable to you. But if you're a business, then you having the ability to build your business on the foundation of a utility, just like how you might have a data scraping tool. That data is gold. Data is gold in today's world. And if you can use a Koi task to make an API to sell that out, then for you, you're making money on the API, but all these node runners, they probably want a way to participate too, right? It's a community effort. That's the heart of Web3. So you get to give people your token. And then Koii is creating a DEX, a decentralized exchange, that'll allow you to exchange those tokens back into Koii or trade them with other Koii network tokens. We're also partnering with Allbridge, so hopefully we'll be able to open the doors to basically every other chain that exists. And then all of a sudden, it'll be 5 minutes to create a token, but that token will be exchanged on the worldwide exchanges.
That's awesome. But how, all right, pretend that you don't believe me. You don't believe in me as much, right? Dumb it down. How do these things actually power like real world services?
Yeah, I mean, for sure. If you're on Koii and you're a node runner and you're running an app, right? Right now you're getting back Koii, but if you had the ability to create your own tokenomics, your own economics, then you wouldn't have to rely, Koii wouldn't have all this power over you, for example, and we wouldn't be able to necessarily control the entire network. If everybody's running all your apps on Koii, then essentially Koii runs and owns the network. That's not truly a decentralized vision. If we want to give everyone power, we want to do it this way. And so what you'll be able to do now is when someone comes to your task or your job that you're running on Koii, they'll be able to stake and get back tokens in your own token. You'll get to set the rules. You'll own the tokenomics, and you won't be beholden to anyone else. So just like how a Koii token right now runs Koii, and just how you can take advantage of that, you'll basically be able to make your own token that does the same thing. And so through that, you'll be able to use Koii in the same way you use Koii now, except on your own terms.
That's really, really great. That means that no ACLs that's listening to us right now, he doesn't have that advantage over me just by being super smart and being able to code like nobody's business. So I can do something too.
Exactly, yeah.
Love it. Love it. I'm going to leave Nilo behind as well because he's way better than me at most things in life. I did pin something up. So if you guys are wondering how to like actually get things going and get it started, there are two pin posts, one that goes over that KPL and the other one that's talking about how to get not only onto the KPL's going, but getting a node running and everything else that goes on. I appreciate you guys listening in and actually joining us. Y'all are the real deal. And the reason why we actually run spaces, like if there's no audience, what's the point, right? So I appreciate everybody that shows up, everybody that listens in. And at any given time, guys, please always feel free to DM, reach out, request, all of that stuff, because we want to make sure that we are covering information that's viable to everybody. And Avi, I don't know how to say this to you, brother, but I can probably talk to you all day with or without a script. It really doesn't matter. I just love your outlook, yes, in life, but in how this whole decentralized world should work. Let's go over how things are going in the future and what we can actually look forward to. I know that ocean profiles of the top ecosystem projects are now live on Koi. Can you tell me a little bit more about this? Because this actually like helps people find what's really working, what's doing really well, not only how it works, but like where can people find it?
You can find the Koi Ocean page by going to koi.network. You can go to the ocean at the top, and that's where you can find the gallery of our top ecosystem projects. The Koi Ocean project itself is a really exciting initiative that we have where essentially we're going to enable you from A to Z to create your project and also get it funded fully on Koi. So right now when you go there, you might see the Koi Garden and you see all of those nice projects that are popping up, but you can actually click on Incentivize Round or Ocean Accelerator 2 to get some more information about what we're going to be doing here. And essentially, you are the community. You're going to be able to wish list and vote on these Koi Garden projects to see which one moves forward to getting funding and then eventually actually goes on live to be a project on Koi. So it's a really exciting initiative where we're going to get the community involved in actually building Koi, and we're super super excited for that. I just actually can't understate how excited I am. Like, it's going to be so fun to be talking with everybody, to get all the buzz going about all these projects, for people to be weighing in and debating which one's better and where should you be investing your koi. I'm actually just super delighted and excited. We'll be launching it really soon. We're just doing the last final touches to make everything look nice and pretty, and then it'll be out for the community to kind of play around with.
I love it. Yeah, and you already have 6 of those projects that are already built on Koi listed there. I can't wait to see like the expansion of this and how this ocean, essentially the ocean accelerator, is going to put new projects on the map, regardless if, like I said, one of those smart brains that are listening in right now launches them or action does it. Kind of gives everybody a chance, which to me is really exciting to open up the opportunity for everybody in the space. Something else that I know you're always happy to talk about are hackathons. And Koi does a lot of them. You started another one last Thursday, I believe, with Truthflation, and you were asking developers to create Koi tasks that kind of like monitors things. So, like election sentiment data, figuring out what people are posting about, what people are talking about, like data focused on inflation, the crime, education, housing, a bunch of other things. What are you trying to get out of this?
Yeah, the hackathons are have been a blast to host, and we host a lot, and we're going to be hosting more. We're going to really try and nail them in. Like, if I can have one hackathon going every 2 weeks, I'd be happy because that's where I'm in my element. Where are we going with this is, yeah, so right now we're partnered with Trueflation on this hackathon here. We're super excited to be partnered with them. They're one of our big ecosystem projects. They've been dancing around for a long time, and we've had an absolute blast developing products with them, and now this hackathon. So right now the hackathon, the whole goal for us is to build templates on Koi that feed into the Trueflation stream network, which is their API network. So basically we're having hackers collect all of this election data so we can pump it into Trueflation's system so that we can have some really cool insights coming out for the upcoming election season and after. So Trueflation and Koi are really excited to announce that it's a co-hosted, co-sponsored hackathon. But fret not if you missed this one, because we will be doing more. Koi's actually planning on launching a whole merch line too, which you'll be able to get some of that cool merch by participating in the hackathon too. So if that excites you, that will be coming hopefully in the next week.
I love it. Now, I just pinned up a post up there that talks about a few of the things, and I would love if you can actually go over it. What do you think people are going to be able to learn at these hackathons, and what are they going to be able to earn as well?
Yeah, for sure. We launched a grand prize in this hackathon of 500 USDC, 5,000 Koi, and 1,000 US dollars worth of Trueflation. So it's a big grand prize right now. In the future, we're going to try and have grand prizes that always at least include 500 USDC. So it's always worth your while. we're gonna probably try and keep the 5,000 koi. So I hope that incentivizes you too. The things you can learn is basically how to build on Koi, how to build in Web3, but also we have business development support at our hackathons, which is something that is unique to Koi hackathons. No other hackathon that I know of has business development. And that's because Koi hackathons are actually also a place for you to launch your business. The Koi Ocean Accelerator is always looking at hackathon winners and participants as primary or special treatment sort of participants, because we know if you joined a hackathon, you're really from the community. And then you put in the work to build something. We love those guys. They have so much passion. And if you're one of them, we'd love to see you join, learn how to build on Koi, learn how to build Web3 in general. Hopefully you win a prize. We always have participation prizes in Koi too. Even if you don't win, you'll still get about 1,000
What
Koi.
about swag?
Um,
Can I get some swag?
Swag, that will be coming in the next hackathon. That unfortunately no swag, but yes, the next hackathon, there will guaranteed be swag.
All right.
If we're talking
Hats,
hats, if we're
that's
talking
me.
little
There we go.
pins.
No, I
Oh,
got a hefty collection of those. That's one of the main reasons I
nice.
go to conferences. Let's be serious. You got to get yourself a hat. That sounds nice,
Gotta
Avi.
get
But
something.
like this started last Thursday. Can people still sign up?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. The deadline to submit is the 19th, and you don't even have to sign up. The sign up was mostly just to get notified, but if you just jump into the Discord server, you check out the hack pack, you can get going right now.
I love it. I love it. Taking a look at the time, we are almost at the top of the hour. Are there any other developments that you want to share as far as this is going to sound funny, the community can be looking out for?
Yeah, for sure. We're really excited actually that we're going to be launching very soon the new VS Code, Visual Studio Code extension. It'll be called Koi's Easy Way, and it'll actually be an even easier way of making tasks on Koi. Hopefully that comes out within the next 2 to 3 weeks, and we're going to start hyping that up very soon.
What
This is your early access.
what about that whole webinar thing that you guys are putting together?
That's we're going to be testing it out. We're going to be launching out the whole process, and hopefully in the webinars, we'll be able to actually help you live launch tasks.
That's amazing. I used to run webinars for a Fortune 500 company. Let me tell you, they're no easy feat. And the fact that you're willing to actually help people along through a webinar, like that is next level. Most people can barely focus on running a webinar, let alone help people while they're doing it.
Yeah, no, ours are completely interactive. I'm always answering questions, and I actually love it when someone comes in and they say, "Hey there, could this whole webinar just be about building my task? Let's do it. I'll build you a template." I'd love that. That sounds fantastic.
That's amazing, man. It's like the people who know how to do it, they actually do it live. And I think you're proof of it. And how exciting. But Avi, thank you like so much. Guys, if you're listening and you're not following Avi, like the dumb over here wasn't until I noticed that this the start of the space, y'all should do that. This is not only one of the smartest people in crypto, but one of the kindest man's like building stuff in this space. I love not only what he has to share, but just his passion for the decentralization aspect of things and getting people to the next level. It's very hard to find people nowadays that care more about helping others build than to put himself in a spotlight and say, I can do this. So, Avi, like, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Keep being you because you're awesome at it.
I appreciate that so much. No dum-dums in this chat. We're all very smart, and it's just a matter of getting the right tools in our hands so that we can prove to the world that we are. It's totally on me though. I don't have the blue check mark. I'm gonna get that very soon. So maybe I'm a bit of the dum-dum. Maybe there is one in the chat.
Yeah, I stole my check mark from Genzio, so I got the affiliate thanks check mark comes with it. So thanks, Genzio. Y'all hooked it up. And talk
Let's
right.
go.
I know a guy over at Koi that might be able to help you with that. I'm gonna have a little conversation with him on the back end, make sure you get taken care of. All right.
Love that.
He goes by Al. I think is what he goes by over there.
Yeah, I think I know.
Okay, good. Like I said, thank you so much. It's been a phenomenal conversation. I couldn't have asked anybody better to speak to about the stuff from the censorship aspect of it to the fixing of the censorship by decentralization is incredible to talk to you every single time. I love the fact that you love these hackathons and actually helping people through it. It makes all the difference in the world. So if you guys are not following Avi here, make sure to do Koi. Check out Koi as well. Make sure you guys check out what they're doing. It's some incredible stuff. Run a node. Check out how to run a node. I mean, my thing is nodes because I love passive income. It's not easy to get it started all the time, but Koi makes it super easy. Just a couple of clicks and you're off